starting first in the money mindset. And if you're taking notes, I want you to kind of do like 3 columns here. So column number 1, I want you to put the word broke. And being broke is not the same thing as being poor.
Very different.
Yeah. Being broke is temporary. Being poor is kind of an identity. It's kind of a way that you see the world that dictates your actions. It dictates the things that you don't take action on or that you do. But it also holds you back. So I want to invite you guys to consider that if you are struggling with money right now, if you're struggling with cash flow in your business, you're not poor, but you might be broke.
Yeah.
And the good news is that you can climb out of that hole.
Broke is what you have, poor is what you are. So you're not poor, you're just broke. Just what you currently have at the moment, which might not be that much, and that's okay. We're going to walk you through it.
Yeah, we've been there. So if it's cool, we're going to share a little bit of our journey with you. We're going to keep it real, and feel free to ask questions along the way, right? So if we go back to, the 2007, 8, 9 kind of time frame, Lauren and I had built a business that was doing over $1 million a year, and it was a satellite program-based business. So basically what we were doing, is we were going out teaching martial arts, dance, cheerleading, tumbling classes. We had a tennis program. We had rec centers. We had churches. We had childcare facilities. We had all of these partner programs that we would send a team of instructors to throughout the week. All in all, before the recession hit us, there was 55 satellite locations. We actually had a news story that was on the local Fox affiliate here in the Tampa Bay market that did a story about us having 55 locations and over 2,000 students. And I remember all of a sudden the recession hit, and we heard about the recession. We had never lived through a recession, so we didn't quite understand what that meant. And even though in the media we were hearing that word, it was not affecting us yet, right? We didn't feel the wave actually hit us until probably about 2009. What do you think? 2010?
2010 was like the bottom of the bottom.
Like when it hit us hard.
Yeah.
So we went from growing up in families that struggled with money to being in our 20s, doing well financially, to then basically losing it all. And we're going to share that journey because we learned a lot in the 3 phases. So phase number 1 is broke. Write this down. Phase number 2 is the flow. And phase number 3 is the abundance phase. So if you find yourself in any one of these 3 phases, there's going to be things that you can learn from today's presentation that are going to significantly help you continue to move forward. And even if you're in the abundance phase where you're like debt-free, you're stockpiling money, I want you to consider that that's not the finish line, but instead that's like the door that you're about to essentially walk through to create generational wealth for your kids and their kids. So there's always a next level. But first and foremost, being broke, the first thing that you have to do is plug all of the holes in the sinking ship. So literally in your notes, the first thing that I want you to write down in this column or this section is no unnecessary spending of any kind. What did we stop paying?
Everything.
Yeah. So
one is I want to paint this for you just really, really quickly. I want you to understand that being broke, you're basically like in survival mode, but that doesn't mean that it's weakness. It's a wake-up call where you don't want to be is your ship is sinking and you're like, it's fine. Everything's fine. Like, no, it's not fine. You better plug the holes in the ship. So if you're aware of it, great job. You're already on the right track. You're doing much better than a lot of people that we actually see out there.
Yeah, for sure. And when you identify literally cutting out all expenses that you possibly can, we actually had to take this to the most extreme level because we had kept our team on payroll for this whole time. We were depleting our savings accounts. We were falling behind on vehicle payments. We were falling behind on credit card bills. I mean, if you guys have ever been there, you know that stress, right? You know that feeling that when the phone rings, you don't want to answer it because you know it's a bill collector. So we're going to share how we really tightened up and plugged the holes in the ship. We stopped paying credit cards.
Yep.
And by the way, none of this is financial advice. We're just sharing our story. We're gonna share how we fixed things, how we climbed out of the hole, and then how we created an abundance. So we had to literally stop paying all credit card bills. We had to stop paying all medical bills. It got to the point where we knew that our credit was going to be completely messed up for several years. We had accepted that fact, and it was like, all right, cool. We have to do what we have to do. But the one thing that we never considered doing was taking out a loan.
Nope.
So I want to start by addressing that. There's a lot of people in our industries that when money or cash flow gets a little bit weak, instead of them leaning in and saying, how can I step up my marketing? How can I step up and get on the phone with my members, do courtesy calls, ask for referrals, reach out and start, contacting these leads regularly to get them to come in as trial students? What do? They take the easy way out. They say, well, our credit's still pretty decent right now. Let me go ahead and take out a loan for $50K or $100K. We've seen people take out loans for way more than that. What that does is it buys you a little bit of temporary reassurance that things are okay, but in reality, you're digging a deeper hole. You're making it way worse for yourself in the long run. So write down in your notes right now, no loans. What I want you to also consider is you have to really be conservative about this. So I'm just going to give you kind of some things off the top of my head in no particular order. This is not the time to go on vacations. This is not the time to get additional pets. This is not the time to buy additional vehicles that require maintenance and insurance and upkeep. This is not the time to go buy new clothes, new purses, new shoes, anything.
No, this is the time to go all in with your business. And here's what's predictable. When you go all in with your business and you are super hyper focused, it's going to start to grow. And then you're going to believe this lie of, well, I deserve that vacation. I deserve that new car. And the reality is you still haven't earned it yet. So sit down and keep your nose down and keep grinding, keep going, because you are still in survival mode. You got to get out of that hole.
Absolutely. You have to live beneath your means. Now, this is where we have to set pride to the side, right? Lauren and I, we were living on Clearwater Beach when that wave of the recession started.
When the storm, not a hurricane, but,
Yeah. So again, we're going back many, many, many years ago. This is like 2010. We were living on the beach in a high-rise condo, multi-million-dollar building, just beautiful place. We had our cars financed. Basically, nobody taught us about money. So anytime that we started making more money, we were like, cool, let's increase our lifestyle. Let's look the part. Let's look rich, right? That's what we were focused on. The problem with that is when you're so focused on looking rich, you're not actually focused on systems and growing. You're not actually focusing on actual financial health and financial habits that are going to continue to flourish no matter what season you're in. So we quickly had to humble ourselves, and it was insane because we were still holding on to pride so much. It was like, all right, well, if we can't live on the beach in a high rise, I know a friend of mine who can rent us his penthouse condo on Bayshore Boulevard. So if you guys are familiar with the Tampa Bay area, there's a lot of water, right? There's a lot of waterways. And this was right on the bay. Again, another beautiful place, not as expensive as the beach, but certainly more than what we needed. And
more than we could even really afford.
Yeah, we were barely able to pay rent at that time, right? But you at least still look rich, right? How silly is that? We went through that phase.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about that is we were still continuing to struggle, but even though we were saving money on that rent, we started taking that money that we were saving and using it wisely. So if you do have some money, what can and what should you only spend it on if you're in this broke phase?
Absolute necessities. Absolute necessities. So where you live, your house. And again, I'm going to tiptoe on this one a little bit because you might be like, but I'm locked into a lease. I get it. I'm not telling you not to pay your lease. but you're not looking for the next bigger thing. You're not going to go and finance a new car. Like, that's just not where you're at right now. So you're paying for your healthcare, your housing, your food, and transportation.
And like a phone.
Period.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Literally the necessities, right? So what we started doing, though, during that time, and this is one of the things that we want to teach you today, is there are things not to do, like we've just described, frivolous spending, but there are things that you should be doing. And as business owners, the beautiful part about this is we have the ability to control our actions to grow our business. So during this broke or transitionary phase where you're going from being broke to finally getting into the flow where things are starting to work, you're seeing some sales come in, you're seeing yourself getting into a better financial position, what can you do? Well, let's think about this. Can you focus on marketing? Yes or no?
Yes.
Can you focus on selling? Yes or no?
Yes.
Can you focus on customer service at the highest level possible? Yes or no? Absolutely.
Yeah. Understanding that your most valuable asset that you have is your time during this. That's what holds the value. So every single hour that you're spending needs to be an investment into growing, right? Because you don't necessarily have the dollar bills to start throwing at things, right? So it's got to be your own time.
Absolutely. Another way that we can say this and give you guys a tangible example is if you're struggling with cash flow, but yet if I ask you what your favorite show on Netflix is and you actually have a favorite show, your priorities are out of order. You have to be 100% focused on working in and on your business. But during the broke phase, you're going to be working in your business because you need to employ yourself. You don't have the money to pay for a whole team just yet. Eventually you will, and that's the awesome part about this. But right now, you got to roll up your sleeves. You got to work in your business. Sometimes you got to answer your own phones. Sometimes you have to teach those classes and be a driver and pick up the kids. But here's the thing. It doesn't take that long to get on top again.
No, it doesn't take like this phase. I feel like we're spending a lot of time on this phase, but the reason why we're spending a lot of time on this phase is because when you're in it, you're so in your own head and you feel like you can't see the light of day. But the reality is when you're taking action, like minute by minute action and like really putting in the hard work, you're really not there for very long. You're able to climb out of that hole really quickly if you're intentional.
It took us less than a year.
It did.
It took us less than a year, but that year sucked.
That year did suck. And also understand that we were probably in a far worse position than a lot of you are in if you are in the broke phase right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just medical bills alone was like $50K or more that we had coming in. We had credit card bills. We had a lot of debt that was stockpiling real quickly. I mean, it even got to the point where it was so bad that we were strategically parking our vehicle so the repo guy didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Right? And then also trying to focus on family and trying to focus on marriage and trying to focus on growing a business. So, like, we get it. So if you come to us and you go, hey, we're struggling, with cash flow or finances, it's like, cool, we understand what you're talking about, right?
Totally understand.
So the other thing to keep in mind as well is we have to be mindful that it's totally okay and acceptable to go into like ultra grind mode. Mm-hmm. This means disappear. Let your friends and family, and this is a pro tip that I would give you right now. You want to create expectations so you don't feel like a hypocrite and you don't feel like you're being rude to people. Let them know ahead of time that you're entering into a season of life where you are going to focus on your business, you're going to focus on your family, you're going to focus on yourself, including your health, and you might be a little bit tough to get in touch with. Mm-hmm. How does that play out? When Uncle Ronnie invites you to his adult man birthday party because he's turning 52, you're not going to his party.
You're not going to the birthday party. And when somebody asks you if you're busy, yep, what are you doing? Anything but that.
Absolutely.
Not going to the birthday party.
When your cousin invites you to go to, the other cousin's birthday party, like his kid's birthday parties.
Oh,
like,
we got a baseball game. We're going to get, no, none of that.
Or these like family reunions and stuff like that. Like, we're just here to remind you that if you don't take immediate decisive action right now during this phase, you are going to get to a point where it might be so harmful and so damaging to your financial future that like you're going to be screwed for a decade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Bankruptcy, all these bad things. So I'm here to tell you that you do not have to be the yes man. You do not have to be the yes woman. It's okay to say no to things. And in fact, some of the most successful people that I know, people that own companies well above $100 million a year, one thing they all have in common, they're not afraid to say no.
Correct. And I have to give disclaimer, I guess, on this one. So one is, as Duane said, obviously have the conversations with your friends, have the conversations with your family that like, hey, listen, this is what's up. The people that you care the most about, right? If your, parents are still with us and you still have a great relationship, obviously you want to reach out to them. But if you are married and your spouse is not involved in the business, you have to also have the conversation with them. Not saying, hey, babe, I'm not going to talk to you for a month. I'm going to disappear for a month. That's probably not going to go very well. But what I am saying is have the conversation with them is like, hey, when I come home, I need a dedicated this amount of time that this is what I'm going to be doing during that time. And just basically create the expectation. Because if you just start doing it, your spouse is going to go, what just happened?
Yep.
They're going to start to resent you. Your kids are going to hate you. And then all of a sudden you're like, the sky is falling because everybody thinks that I'm this horrible person. What really, you just haven't communicated the fact that you're digging out of a hole.
Absolutely. And if the family and marriage falls apart, everything's going to fall apart. There's nothing you're going to be able to do at that point.
Correct.
So I want to acknowledge one other thing before we move into the flow category. Write down the concept of parental guilt. As a dad, when I'm working and I'm in grind mode, I actually feel fatherly guilt that I'm not spending as much possible time that I could with Leo and Carson. Mm-hmm. All right. Giselle's already moved out of our house, so we see her like once a week.
Yeah.
But the two younger kids,
yes.
Okay. Have you guys ever experienced that where you feel guilty about trying to improve your business? Yes or no? Let's just keep it real.
There's
right?
a whole, like, I mean, if you look up hashtag mom guilt, that's like a
huge
thing. But nobody ever talks about really dad guilt. At least I don't see it.
It's massive and it bothers me all the time. And one of the things that's really tough, and this is just a pro tip that I don't know if this is the answer for you, but this is what works for me, is I have to leave the house to get work done. Mm-hmm. Whether that's me going to Starbucks or Barnes and Noble or to my office, like I have to leave, because if I don't leave, let's say that I'm working here from the podcast studio and the kids are home, they're going to come knocking on that door.
Hey,
and
look at this picture that I drew.
Yeah, look at this picture. Look at these Legos that I made for you. Can we go, train together upstairs in the fitness room? Like,
I just want a hug.
Yeah, give me what are you going to say? No.
No,
get out.
I'm not hugging you.
I'm not going to hug you. Like, leave because I'm working. So here's where we're going with this. Write this in your notes. You must schedule time with your immediate family.
Yes.
This includes your spouse.
Yep.
You still have to go on date night, but date night could be, I'm going to drive in the car with you and we're going to go sit in a parking lot and talk, because right now we don't have money to spend on actual dates.
I made us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and we're going to eat them in the park together.
100%.
I'd be happy with that, actually.
That would be amazing, right? So we have to be able to schedule time with our kiddos as well.
Yes.
Right? That does not mean we have to take them to Disney World. Nope. That does not mean we have to take them to the trampoline place and spend, $30 a kid. That could be, we're going to the park for free.
Yes.
Or we're going to the beach for free. We're going to wherever.
Yeah. What does Leo like to do the most with you?
Lately, train.
That doesn't cost anything.
No. Like I hold pads for him and he's learning how to kick and punch.
Either that or he likes to watch Bloodsport with you.
Yeah, that's true. So, which is pretty awesome. Kumite.